Welcome to this course. I'm so glad to have you here. A little bit about me. I'll be your instructor for this entire course. If you haven't noticed yet, I am not a graphic designer. That is not my strong suit. The majority of the time, I'll actually be off camera and just go through these slides. They're not going to be fancy, but it will be very valuable information that has been rooted in my one-on-one work with my infidelity recovery clients. This is what I have found actually works to help manage triggers in the moment, as well as to greatly alleviate and begin healing the underlying wounds that are causing the triggers. So we'll dive into this a lot more. I'll be off camera in the next video, but I just wanted to say hi, super excited to have you here, and let's dive in. Welcome to the introduction to this course. I'm so excited that you're here. In this course, we're going to be going over how to handle triggers. And you're likely here because triggers can be extremely overwhelming. This course will help you to work with them directly. It's about nothing else except how to get you to a place where you have relief and freedom from these triggers. It doesn't mean that they'll go away 100% immediately, but you'll know exactly what to do with them. And these strategies are based on my one-on-one work with clients. This isn't something that is abstract that just worked for me. This is something that I have demonstrated with multiple different clients is a successful approach to dealing with triggers. As you probably know, triggers are very annoying to deal with. Your body is reacting as if the pain is happening again. So common triggers are things like a text message, a place or time of day, a tone of voice, a date, song, memory, or random thought. And once those pop into your mind, it's like you go back to the point of betrayal. And this can be a couple of different things. You could think about what they did. You could think about the things that you missed, the observations that you didn't make. You could think about what it means for you in the future. You might go back to the moment of betrayal. You might go back to the moment of discovery. You might go back to specific conversations. And these triggers cost you a lot. They cost you focus during work. You're not able to just have presence with the people you love and enjoy those relationships. It's making you miss out on level-headedness when talking to your partner that you're reconciling with. Or maybe you're in a new relationship and you're being triggered by things that are about the previous one. And so it's making it hard for you to have a real fresh start in that relationship. So I just want you to imagine how much better would your life be if you could redirect triggers in the moment? And how much better would you feel if the wounds which caused the triggers were processed and didn't hurt anymore? And so that's what we're going to do. But I want you to really imagine this. Just take a second and you can write something down if you want some extra credit for this course, which I will not be grading, but you and I will know that you took the extra effort to make this count. But genuinely, what would it feel like to know that you are completely in control, that you're not being triggered, you're not in this reactive state all the time? Imagine it with your partner. For so many people, one of the biggest things that makes healing difficult is that they're constantly fighting. And for most people, they fight because they get triggered. And so just imagine all those fights you could avoid, as well as all the good things you can enjoy, as well as all of the freedom you could feel to both handle these triggers better in the moment and to heal the underlying wounds. And so there will be two parts to this course. Part one is going to be what to do when you're triggered in the moment. Because sometimes deep processing is not possible. You might be driving, working, parenting, or in a conversation with the person who's triggering you. The goal in those moments is to just get your feet back underneath you, to calm down your nervous system, to regulate. Part two is going to be about how to process the trigger more deeply over time. Because the end goal is not just to calm the trigger, but to process what the trigger is carrying. And then over time, the trigger will have less power over you. So part one is going to have exercises to do when you're triggered. Part two is for when you're not triggered. It's giving you tools to heal the underlying wounds. And once those underlying wounds are healed and processed, you won't be triggered. That's the idea. Now, very important. I put part one first because you need to go through it first. And I need you to do it even if you're not currently triggered. And there's a couple reasons for this. Number one, if you want these tools that I cover in part one to work, you have to practice them first while in a non-triggered state. If you just skim the content, don't really practice anything, don't put anything to use, then you're not going to actually be ready and prepared for when you are triggered, to know, to have that muscle memory, to have that practice that kicks in to be able to do it effectively. Well, then the second reason why it's absolutely necessary to do part 1 first is because when you get to part 2, it is a possibility that dealing directly with the underlying wound could become emotionally overwhelming. And in that scenario, if you start to get triggered doing the exercise, you need to be able to fall back on your training from part 1 to regulate yourself. So for example, if you start processing the pain of a trigger and it becomes too intense, or something external pops up that demands your attention in that moment, and you don't have the time to continue that process in part 2, that is when you'd use the tools from part 1. And let me just say this clearly here as well. It's in various agreements that you checked off in the process of getting this course, but you are responsible for your healing in this journey. If at any point one of the videos is too intense, you're not ready to continue, that is your responsibility to make sure that you are safe. I am not there with you. You are ultimately responsible for your own mental well-being while going through this. And by continuing the video, you are agreeing to that. With that clarified, let's set some expectations. By the time you finish this course, you will have several different tools to deal with triggers as they're happening. And you can use these tools from memory, or you can listen to guided step-by-step directions. And so there will be certain sections that you can bookmark and just quickly come back to on your phone, and it will guide you through it step by step. You will also have a proven strategy to deal with triggers at a deeper level by processing the underlying wounds. And again, you can use this process for memory. There will also be a guided audio process for that, and there will also be a fill-in-the-blanks journaling process that you can use. So along the way, expect to make significant progress. This is not a course just about merely surviving triggers. It's about helping your mind and your body process what they're carrying. With that said, some triggers shift quickly, others will have layers. That's normal, and it's kind of impossible to predict. So don't place any strict expectations on yourself for how quickly or how long you should heal. Be open to both options. If you assume it has to take a long time, that might lock your brain off from believing that it can happen quickly. Whereas if you insist it has to happen quickly, then you might get disappointed if after the first time you go through this, that there's not immediate progress. Similarly, some people will find this process intuitive their first try, others will need to practice. There's no judgment there. Some people will just get it, other people might need to do it a few times. And some people will be able to find a lot of success with this one tool. Other people may need more customized one-on-one support. Like, things can get extremely complicated within your own psyche, within your own mind, and there are problems that I can't solve for myself on my own. There are things, if it gets too complex, I seek external support. It's just normal. And so the main thing here, as you go through the course, be kind to yourself, have fun, get excited. You're about to get a lot of incredible tools that you can use to handle triggers and make your life a lot more easy to live. In the moment regulation, how to calm your nervous system in the moment of being triggered. This section is about what to do when you're actively triggered. So the deeper work of processing will require a more stable state, time and space, the ability to sit with the trigger, not being in the middle of a fight or crisis. Immediate regulation, which is what this video is about, aims for control, safety, and stability. That is what you need. You don't need to heal everything when you're in the trigger. You don't need everything to be resolved. You just need control, safety, and stability. That is the goal of this video, as well as the upcoming videos in part 1. So let's talk about triggers and your nervous system. Some signs that you might be triggered. You might be talking faster, your chest is tightening, stomach dropping, the feeling of heat or warmth in your body, and urges to accuse, attack, or demand answers. And what your nervous system is saying is, I do not feel safe now. When this happens, your thinking brain goes offline, your body takes over, and it's your nervous system trying to protect you, but these reactions often create more damage. And let me know if this describes you. There is a common snowball effect. The trigger itself, the feeling of being triggered, might only last a few seconds, but the triggered state can last for hours or even days. So this is what it might look like. A trigger hits, you react, either fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Your partner gets defensive. The conversation turns into a fight about everything. Suddenly, it's not just the original trigger, but it's the affair, the lies, the texts, the past, the future. It's like the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once. The day or the weekend is ruined. Future repair becomes harder, and both of you become hopeless, more on edge. The purpose of this section is to interrupt the above pattern at the beginning. I want to get it so that right here, you have the tools to react within these first two, so we can basically just get rid of all these other consequences. Would that be nice? So with that said, regulation is not pretending that you're fine. It's not swallowing your feelings, letting your partner off the hook. It's not telling yourself that you should not be triggered. And it's not avoiding the issue. It's just awareness of what's going on and new skills that I'm going to teach you. So let's do a quick self-awareness exercise. Do you know when you're triggered? Do you know what your signs are? Is it that your jaw tightens, chest getting hot, stomach dropping, repeating the same questions over and over again? I know that's a common one for a lot of people. Wanting to send a barrage of texts. What I want you to do right now is identify 3. You can just name them out loud or write them down, but you need to be aware of when it's happening if you're going to be able to have the ability to interrupt it. And so in the next section, we're going to talk about how to do this very, very soon. But right now, I want you to make the commitment to change. You can say this out loud or write it down. I commit to take responsibility for my own nervous system. I commit to de-escalate before I do or say things I regret. I commit to regulate before things go on for hours. And this is the mindset I want you to have. You can repeat this as well. The earlier I intervene, the more power I have. The more responsibility I take, the more I can feel regulated and at peace. If I hold myself responsible, I can hold them accountable. There are a lot of problems that people have where they feel like they need to be the one to punish their partner. And they feel that most intensely when they're triggered. And I'm suggesting that you don't let your attempts to punish them make your life worse. You do not enjoy staying in this triggered state. You would enjoy it a lot more to be able to get out of it faster. And I think a lot of you feel like the other person should be the one responsible for calming you down when you're triggered. That would be nice. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. For the time that you're going through this course, I really encourage you to take responsibility for your own nervous system. If you do that, you have a lot more power, you have a lot more control, and this is something that you can take charge of instead of waiting for someone else to do it for you. In the next videos, we're going to dive into the really specific applications very soon.